Heartened, I stepped away from the sink and cast another look at the entire first course to be served at that afternoon's banquet. "It looks great," I reassured myself aloud. "If you're a rabbit." So much for the pep talk. Why on earth had I agreed to cater the July banquet introducing the fall line of Mignon Cosmetics? My irritation blossomed to frustration, a frequent occurrence when the rationale for taking a job melted away. The weather, cool in the beginning of June when I agreed to cater the banquet, was now, at the beginning of July, unbearably hot. In the flat stretch of land that abutted the foothills west of Denver, the thermometer had topped 105 for the past 3 days. Although the mercury in our mountain town of Aspen Meadow, 40 miles west of Denver, had fluctuated only in the upper 90s, that was still unseasonably warm. Definitely too hot, I had discovered, to be mucking around in the kitchen, taste-testing food made with buttermilk and non-fat sour cream. Not only that, but I had my doubts about the Mignon Cosmetics people, the same people who had provided the dip recipes. I mean, did they really think the cowboy-worshipping folk of Furman County, Colorado, longed for a lipstick named Fudge Royale? A blush named Lust? Could people truly be enticed to spend $100 an ounce for anti-aging cream fortified with kelp and placenta? Whose placenta, I wanted to ask, rod-thin, pale-haired Harriet Wells, the senior sales associate who'd hired me to do the banquet. I agreed with Harriet that the more sophisticated, well-heeled customers would enjoy making their purchases in the magnificently refurbished department store of a remodeled mall, where the effects of aging, at least on a building, had been painstakingly eradicated. But structures, I pointed out to Harriet, could be restored. People are another matter. On the other hand, maybe I was wrong. Women, Harriet Wells told me, crave the idea of fudge on their lips. And, she went on, the word lust makes them at least think of blushing. What was worse, my 13-year-old son, Arch, had recently watched a television special on advertising. To my dismay, he had dutifully reported back an ad maven statement. Make a woman insecure enough, and you can sell her anything. Well, I must have made Harriet Wells and the Mignon Cosmetics Company feel pretty insecure because I was catering their banquet at an enormous premium over my cost. The high compensation I would receive had been a compromise over their strict low-fat requirement, and the fact that over my objections they'd supplied half the recipes for what they wanted, including the 2 horrid dips. For their requests for an unusual appetizer, an array of breads, and chocolate dessert, I'd developed new recipes. At that, however, I'd put my foot down. No mashed lentils, no margarine, no egg substitute. To my delight, the appetizer and the muffin recipes I'd come up with were quite delicious, especially if no one mentioned they were low-fat. But the dessert effort had demanded a serious undermining of my cooking standards. I'd gone through 7 dozen egg whites trying to develop a recipe for chocolate torte with no butter. Perhaps hell was not strong enough. "Goldy, it does look great," said Julian Teller, my assistant. Wallowing in fat-free self-pity, I had been oblivious of his entrance. Julian marched briskly toward the counter, dipped a spatula into the shocking pink dip, leaned his broad shoulders and blond, side-shaven head downward, and sniffed. The noise he made, deep in his throat, was unconvincingly ecstatic. Compact and muscled from a stint on his school swimming team, 19-year-old Julian did not look like someone with his heart set on becoming a vegetarian caterer. Yet he was. Luckily for Goldilocks Catering, he wasn't one of those fanatics who gave you a dirty look if you don't put grated carrots and soy flour and everything. Julian loved cheese, butter, and eggs as much as any traditional chef. I let out an agonized sigh. "It's going to be fabulous," Julian reassured me, with mischievous eyes, and an enthusiastic lift of the dark eyebrows that he had not bleached to match the hair on his scalp. He'd recently had his bright hair trimmed in a bowl shape to replace his old Mohawk-style haircut.